They told you to avoid these strange movements, to keep your body still, controlled, proper. But what if those very movements, the ones you were told to never do, are the secret to staying young? Most of us think aging is unstoppable. We think it's about time, about wrinkles, grey hair, and tired bones. But Jacobo Grinberg believed something completely different. He believed aging is not just physical, it's the slowing down of energy, and he claimed that there are hidden ways to awaken that energy again. Movements most people call useless, childish, or even dangerous, the ones that look silly or out of place, might actually be the key to staying vibrant, strong, and full of life. Jacobo Grinberg was a scientist unlike any other. Born in Mexico, he trained as a neuroscientist, yet he went far beyond the laboratory. He studied shamans, yogis, and ancient healers who could do things science could not explain. He wanted to understand how consciousness shapes reality, and what he found shocked even him. Grinberg believed our bodies are surrounded by an invisible web. He called it the lattice. It connects every cell in our body to every thought in our mind. When we move in new and unusual ways, especially the ways we've been taught to avoid, it sends a shock through that web, like striking a tuning fork. That shock wakes up dormant parts of the brain and body. It restarts the flow of energy we lose. Most exercise routines just work your muscles. But Grinberg saw something deeper. He saw that some rare, forgotten movements don't just build strength. They reconnect you to your original energy pattern, the one you had as a child before stress, fear, and years of routine stiffened you. These were the movements he called forbidden, not because they were illegal, but because society quietly pushed them away. They don't look serious, they don't look productive, and yet they carry a strange power. There's a reason children can move all day without pain, and elders stiffen even when sitting. Somewhere in the middle, we stopped moving like humans were meant to. Grinberg discovered that when people reawaken these primal patterns, their joints unlock, their minds clear, and something remarkable happens. Their bodies begin to act younger. It wasn't just theory. In his quiet experiments, Grinberg saw people's balance, memory, and even skin tone improve when they practiced these forgotten motions. He said the body holds memories of youth, and the right movements can bring them back. Imagine this, a movement so simple you could do it in your living room, yet powerful enough to rewire your nervous system. A posture that looks like play, yet tells your cells to stop aging. These are the kinds of exercises Grinberg left scattered in his writings, half hidden, half whispered, like secrets waiting to be found. In this video, you're going to uncover 7 of them. 7 forbidden exercises that most people will never know, but that could quietly slow down the clock inside your body. As you watch, you'll learn why they work, not just on muscles, but on your brain, your energy, and even your sense of time itself. If you stay with me until the end, you'll see how to bring them into your daily life in just a few minutes a day. No equipment, no gym, just your body, your attention, and your willingness to wake up parts of yourself that have been asleep for years. Most people will never try this. They'll grow old, believing age is inevitable, but you are here, and that means something inside you is ready to break that belief. Welcome to Awaken Synchronicity, where we explore the hidden powers of the mind and body through the lost teachings of Jacobo Grinberg. If you're ready to rewrite what aging means, subscribe now and let's begin. Before we talk about the 7 exercises themselves, we need to understand something important. Why Jacobo Grinberg called them forbidden. It's a strange word, isn't it? It makes you think of something dangerous, something you're not allowed to touch. But these movements are not illegal. They're not banned by any rule or law. They are forbidden in a quieter way, forbidden by habit, by culture, by fear. Think about how we are taught to move as we grow up. We are told to sit still in class, to walk properly, to stand straight, to behave slowly. Our natural, wild movements are pressed out of us. Children crawl, roll, hang upside down, balance on narrow edges. Adults sit on chairs. Adults walk in straight lines. Adults stop playing. These forbidden exercises are simply the kinds of movements we were told to leave behind. Grinberg noticed this. He said that the body becomes what the mind expects from it. If the mind expects control, the body becomes stiff. If the mind expects freedom, the body stays alive. The movements he studied were strange because they were free. They broke patterns. They didn't follow the straight lines of gym machines or the rigid poses of normal fitness. They were circular, flowing, twisting, playful. To most people, they looked childish. Imagine an adult crawling on the floor, or spinning in a slow spiral, or balancing barefoot on a rocky path. People laugh at that. They think it looks silly. But to Grinberg, that silliness was the point. When you move in ways that feel wrong, you wake up parts of the brain that have been silent for decades. You break the prison of routine. He also found something deeper. These movements didn't just confuse the mind, they scared it. Not in a dangerous way, but in a way that exposed how fragile our patterns are. When you suddenly do something the body hasn't done since childhood, your nervous system lights up, muscles you forgot existed start firing. Your brain scrambles to rebuild old connections. This stress, this shock, is not harmful, it's renewing. It forces the brain to become plastic again, to act young. That is why people avoid them, not because they are too hard, but because they are uncomfortable, not physically painful, but emotionally strange. Our culture rewards control, order, and efficiency. These movements are the opposite. They are slow, flowing, and unpredictable. They don't burn many calories. They don't look impressive. You can't post them on social media with shiny muscles, and so they become invisible. Grinberg saw how dangerous that invisibility was. He said, when we stop exploring new ways to move, we stop exploring new ways to think. The body and the brain decay together. What people call aging, he said, is often just the buildup of patterns, habits that harden into the flesh. These forbidden movements break those habits. They remind the body that it can still change. He watched how people reacted when he asked them to try these motions. Many refused. Some felt embarrassed. Some laughed nervously, as if they were being asked to act like children again. But a few were brave enough to try. And something strange happened. Their eyes became brighter. Their breathing slowed. They stood taller, not because they were stronger, but because their bodies were suddenly alive. That was the hidden danger. Not that these movements could hurt you, but that they could change you, and change, for most people, is terrifying. It's easier to keep lifting the same weights, running the same miles, doing the same predictable routines, than to step into something unknown. That's why they became forbidden. They are not forbidden by rules. They are forbidden by fear, by the quiet pressure to act our age, by the belief that play is for children and stillness is for adults. Grinberg wanted to destroy that belief. He wanted people to remember what it felt like to move with curiosity instead of control, because he believed that when you move with curiosity, your cells remember what it means to be young. And that is the real meaning behind the word forbidden. It is not a warning to stay away, it is a secret invitation to come back to yourself. Aging doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in quietly, almost invisibly. One day your body bends easily, and the next it resists. The first sign is not wrinkles or gray hair. It's stiffness, that subtle feeling that your body moves like it's wrapped in invisible ropes. The hips stop opening, the spine loses its ripple. The ankles feel heavy. You start avoiding certain movements without even realizing it. This stiffness spreads like a slow shadow, locking joints, shortening steps and shrinking your range of motion. Jacobo Grinberg believed this stiffness was not just physical. He said it was a sign of blocked energy. When the flow of energy slows, the body hardens, the mind follows. Neural connections that once sparked with speed begin to dim. Reactions slow. Creativity fades. People call this aging, but Grinberg saw it differently. He believed the body still holds the blueprint of youth deep inside. It never disappears. It only goes dormant. And the way to wake it is not with heavy effort or extreme discipline, but with movement, specific, precise, and conscious movement that unravels the stiffness and reopens the channels of energy. Most exercise routines push the body harder. They build muscle, burn calories, chase speed, but they don't awaken the energy Grinberg spoke about. In fact, many of them make the stiffness worse by layering tension on top of tension. The body becomes strong but locked, like a stone statue. Grinberg's approach was the opposite. He wanted to make the body fluid again. He wanted to restore its ability to move like water, bending, flowing, spiraling, because when the body becomes fluid, the mind becomes light. And when the mind becomes light, time itself seems to slow. He said, "Aging is not the loss of years, it is the loss of movement." One of the first movements he recommended was so simple that people often laughed when he showed it. He called it the deep squat hold. This movement looks like something a child does naturally. You drop down until your hips are below your knees, your feet flat on the ground, and your back relaxed like a rope hanging from the ceiling. At first it feels impossible. Most adults can't do it. Their heels lift, their knees ache, their lower back screams. That is the proof of how far they've drifted from their natural design. Grinberg explained that this position awakens the hips, the deepest joints in the body. The hips are like a central hinge. When they freeze, the whole body starts to age. Blood stops flowing properly to the legs. The spine compresses, energy pools in the core and stops circulating. Sitting in a deep squat, even for a minute, reverses this. It pulls the hips open. It stretches the ankles. It decompresses the spine from below, like releasing pressure from a coiled spring. Blood rushes through the joints. The fascia softens. The whole lower body wakes up. But something else happens too. When you stay in the squat without fighting it, your mind begins to change. It becomes quiet. The tension that holds your thoughts together starts to dissolve. This was what Grinberg called energy re-entry. The mind stops commanding the body and begins listening to it. That listening, he said, is where youth begins. After opening the hips, Grinberg often guided people to explore the spine, not with stretches or force, but with waves. He called this the spine wave roll. You begin at the tailbone and roll each vertebra slowly, like a snake rising from the ground. The movement travels from the base of the spine to the crown of the head in one smooth wave. It looks soft, but it demands absolute attention. Every tiny bone along the spine must move, one after the other, like pearls sliding on a string. Most people can't do this at first. Their spines move in blocks. They bend from only 2 or 3 places, while the rest stay frozen. Grinberg said this frozen spine is the spine of age. The wave roll melts that freeze. It pumps cerebrospinal fluid, the clear liquid that cushions the brain and nerves. When this fluid moves, the nervous system becomes sharper, faster, younger. Reflexes return. Sensation deepens. People often feel a buzzing warmth after a few slow rolls, like electricity waking up inside them. Grinberg believed this wasn't just mechanical. He saw the spine as an antenna. When it is stiff, your mind becomes trapped in old patterns. When it ripples like water, your thoughts become new again. And new thoughts, he said, are youth. Once the hips and spine were awake, he brought people even lower down to the ground on all fours. This was the crawling exercise. It's simple, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, moving opposite hand and knee together like a baby. But this simple pattern hides something powerful. Crawling reconnects the 2 halves of the brain. The left and right hemispheres must fire together to control opposite limbs. For babies, this pattern builds the bridge between thinking and feeling. For adults, it rebuilds that bridge when time has worn it down. At first, adults find crawling awkward. Their coordination breaks. Their rhythm collapses, but that awkwardness is the brain struggling to reconnect. After a few minutes, something clicks. The movements smooth out. The breath steadies, and a strange calm appears, like the body is humming from the inside.
Grinberg watched people's faces during this search. Their eyes became sharper, their voices steadier. They moved more quietly, more softly. Crawling doesn't build muscle, it builds connection. And connection, he believed, is the true opposite of aging.
Then came one of his most unusual instructions: take off your shoes, step outside, walk barefoot on uneven ground, stones, sand, grass, anything not flat. He called this the barefoot balance walk. In the modern world, our feet are trapped in shoes from childhood. The small muscles that once gripped the earth grow weak. The nerves that once sensed every grain of soil go numb. This numbing travels upward. Ankles stiffen, knees lock, hips freeze. Grinberg believed the feet were the body's forgotten eyes. They read the world through touch. When they stop reading, the whole system goes blind. Walking barefoot on uneven ground reverses this blindness. The foot muscles wake up to keep balance. The arches spring. The ankles rotate. Signals shoot from the feet to the brain like lightning. Each tiny adjustment sharpens the brain's control over the body. Balance improves. Reaction speeds up. But something else stirs too. People report a strange lightness, like their body becomes hollow and alive. This, Grinberg said, was energy returning. The earth feeding the body through the feet, recharging it like roots drinking water. He noted that elders who practiced this began walking differently. Their steps became longer. Their backs straightened. They seemed to float. It wasn't strength, it was sensitivity. Their bodies were listening again. Grinberg believed this listening is the first step out of aging, not fighting age with force, but dissolving it with attention. When the hips open, the spine ripples, the brain reconnects, and the feet remember the earth, the body stops shrinking. It expands. Energy begins to flow where it had stopped, and when energy flows, time slows. Grinberg often said the fastest way to wake the mind is through the feet. He believed they were the body's forgotten antennas, always sensing, always feeding information to the brain. But in the modern world, they are sealed inside shoes from the moment we can walk. That constant protection numbs them. The small muscles weaken, the nerves grow dull. Balance fades, and with it the brain's alertness fades too. That is why he taught the barefoot balance walk. It sounds simple, but it changes everything. You remove your shoes, you find an uneven surface, stones, grass, sand, even wooden boards. And you walk, slowly, gently. Every step becomes a message from the ground. The sole bends around each bump. Tiny muscles clench and release to hold your weight steady. The ankles shift, the knees sway, the hips respond. The whole body becomes one living chain, adjusting to stay upright. At first, it feels awkward. Most people try to control each step. Their toes curl tight, their legs tremble, their shoulders stiffen. Grinberg would tell them to let go, to walk as if the earth was holding them, not the other way around. And as they relaxed, something remarkable happened. Their movements became lighter. The feet began to land softly, like hands brushing silk. The brain woke up. Each step sends a shock of sensation through the nervous system. Thousands of tiny receptors in the feet fire signals upward. The brain lights up to process them. This strengthens the sensory maps that control balance, coordination, and posture. Grinberg said this sensory fire keeps the brain young. When these maps fade, the body begins to stumble and the mind dims. But when they ignite again, the body remembers its youth. People often notice more than balance returning. They notice calm. As the body adjusts to each shift in the ground, the mind grows quiet. Worry fades. Time slows. It becomes impossible to rush. The walk demands presence, and presence is what aging steals first. Once the body had reawakened from the ground up, Grinberg turned attention to something even more neglected: the eyes. The eyes are not just windows, they are muscles, 6 tiny ones around each eye, pulling in perfect balance so we can see, and like all muscles, they weaken when unused. Most people move their eyes in short, sharp bursts from screen to screen. They never stretch them, never train them. Over time, these muscles tighten, vision narrows, the brain receives less data from the world and begins to slow. Grinberg taught eye muscle movements to reverse this. Slowly, you draw wide circles with your eyes. First clockwise, then counterclockwise. Then you trace diagonal lines from corner to corner across your vision. Then you shift focus, look at something close, then something far, back and forth. It feels strange at first. The muscles ache, the eyes water, but soon the ache becomes warmth. The world sharpens, colors brighten. This isn't just about seeing better. When the eye muscles stretch, they send signals to deep centers of the brain, the same centers that control memory, reaction time, and focus. Stimulating these areas can clear mental fog, like wiping dust from glass. People who practice this reported thinking faster, remembering more, and feeling more alert. Grinberg believed the eyes were direct gateways into the nervous system. By moving them consciously, you pull the brain out of its lazy autopilot. The mind becomes watchful again, like the eyes of a hunter. He said this watchfulness was a form of youth, the mind scanning the world with curiosity instead of drifting through it half asleep. With the feet and eyes awake, he would bring the whole body into motion, slow motion. He called this the slow motion flow. It was inspired by animals, especially cats, frogs and lizards. You move from one shape to another as if underwater, without speed, without force, without planning. Each transition takes as long as it needs. The body stretches, twists, folds and unravels in silence. To outsiders, it looks like nothing, like someone moving lazily, wasting time. But inside, it is intense. Every muscle fiber has to stay awake. Every joint has to stay alive. You can't rely on momentum. You can't rely on habit. The mind must stay locked to the body's every sensation. That level of attention burns away hidden tension, the tension you don't even know you carry, the tension that ages you from within. Grinberg explained that our bodies are wrapped in fascia, a thin web of connective tissue. Over time, stress makes the fascia dry and tight. It sticks muscles together, limiting movement, creating stiffness. This is one of the hidden roots of aging. Slow motion flow loosens the fascia. It melts the sticky tension. The body begins to glide again. Movements that once felt stiff become soft. The body moves as one whole creature, not as disconnected parts. And when the body flows, the mind flows with it. Thoughts lose their harsh edges. Worries dissolve. People often come out of this practice smiling, though they can't explain why. Grinberg believed that this smile was the body remembering itself, not as a machine, but as a living, fluid being. Then came the strangest of all, the spontaneous dance. Grinberg would ask people to close their eyes, to forget music, rhythm, or style, to move without planning. Let the body lead. Let it twitch, sway, shake, spiral, jump, fall. Let it speak. Most resisted. They felt ridiculous. They were afraid of looking foolish, even when no one was watching. But those who surrendered found something extraordinary. The body began to release emotions buried for years. The shoulders dropped as if a weight fell away. The chest opened. The breath deepened. Some people laughed, others cried, others moved in wild chaos, then suddenly went still, trembling with energy. Grinberg said this was the body freeing stuck emotional energy. When energy gets trapped, the body stiffens and ages. When it moves again, the body feels young. He also noticed how playful people became after, their voices lighter, their eyes brighter, their movements loose and flowing. Play is the opposite of aging. It is how children live, exploring, curious, unafraid. Spontaneous dance pulls adults back into that state, not to become children again, but to remember how to be alive. Underneath all these practices, Grinberg saw the same pattern. They worked because they woke up forgotten parts of the body and brain. The feet, the eyes, the fascia, the emotional centers, all places that modern life leaves dormant. When these places awaken, energy begins to move, and where energy moves, the mind grows plastic again. New neural connections spark, old patterns dissolve. Science now calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Grinberg believed it was more than that. He said these movements also stir the lattice, the invisible web of energy that surrounds and connects the body. When the lattice is still, the body ages. When it vibrates, the body renews. Movement plus awareness makes the lattice sing. But he warned that this power is delicate. It cannot be forced. If you push hard, the body shuts down. If you rush, the brain returns to habit. The key is gentleness. He told people to start with 1 or 2 exercises, 5 minutes a day, slow, quiet. Focus on the feeling of the movement, not the appearance. Forget perfection. Forget performance. Listen. Listening is the real practice. Listening to the way your feet touch the ground, to the way your eyes stretch across the horizon, to the way your breath changes when you move like an animal. This listening teaches the body to trust itself again. And when the body trusts itself, it heals. Grinberg also warned of the common traps. Don't force through pain. Pain is not progress. It is the body asking you to pause. Don't rush through the movements. Speed hides tension. Go slower than feels natural, and never compare your body to others. This work is not about looking better or doing more. It is about returning to your own natural flow. He said, the body will remember if you stop trying to control it. That was his only rule. No control, no ego, only presence. Because when presence returns, youth follows quietly behind it, like light chasing the sun. They called them forbidden, strange, pointless, even childish. But now you know the truth. These 7 movements are not about building muscle or chasing some perfect body. They are about something far deeper, something we were never taught to protect, our aliveness. Jacobo Grinberg saw what most of the world still ignores, that aging begins long before wrinkles or gray hair. It begins the moment we stop paying attention to how we move, the moment our steps become automatic, our eyes grow dull, our breath shallow. It begins when the mind drifts away from the body, and it can be reversed, the very moment the mind returns. Each of these forbidden exercises is a key. The deep squat hold reminds the hips how to open like they did when you were a child playing on the ground. The spine wave roll brings back the gentle rhythm of your spinal fluid, waking the nerves that time tries to silence. Crawling on all fours reconnects the 2 halves of your brain, bridging gaps that years may have carved. Walking barefoot teaches your brain to trust your body again. Eye movements light up the forgotten circuits of memory and focus. Slow motion flow melts the stiffness locked in your fascia, turning age back into fluidity. And the spontaneous dance that one doesn't just move the body, it sets the spirit free. Grinberg once said, when you awaken the body, you awaken the mind. This is what he meant. These movements are not forbidden because they are dangerous. They are forbidden because they are powerful, because they remind us that youth was never about age. It was about awareness, the kind of awareness you felt when you were a child discovering the world for the first time, the kind that makes every sense light up. That presence is still inside you. It has only been sleeping. Imagine what might happen if you woke it up, just 5 quiet minutes. One of these exercises, no pressure, no goals, just you, your breath, and the forgotten parts of your body stirring again. You may notice your balance returning, or a sudden lightness in your mood, or simply the deep calm that comes from being fully alive in your own skin. And this is only the beginning. If you felt something stir while listening today, even just a spark of curiosity, honor it. Try one of these exercises tonight. Give yourself the gift of those 5 minutes. See what happens when you stop chasing youth and let youth find its way back to you. Because the truth is, these exercises don't just slow aging, they awaken life itself. And if you want more hidden teachings like this, if you want to explore the mysteries Jacobo Grinberg left behind, the ones that reveal how your mind shapes your reality, then stay with us. This journey is only just beginning. So if you found value in this video, if it opened even one new door in your mind, support this mission by liking this video and subscribing to Awaken Synchronicity. Turn on the bell icon so you don't miss the next secret we uncover. Remember, youth is not lost with age. It's lost when we stop paying attention. Start paying attention again. Start now, and we'll walk this path back to presence, back to vitality, together.